Before you were born, before your first cry touched the air, before your name was whispered into this world, something was already moving in the unseen. A thread was being woven. A quiet agreement was being signed in a place where time does not rush and fear does not exist. There was no noise there, no doubt, no confusion, just a deep and steady knowing that two souls were being prepared for each other. And in that sacred weaving, in that silence before the world began its loud business, he was written into your destiny. He belongs to you. Not in the way of ownership, not in the way of control, not the way you hold a thing in your hands and call it yours, but in the way two souls recognize each other across lifetimes, in the way two energies were carved from the same light, separated only to experience growth, contrast, and longing. You belong to each other the way a question belongs to its answer, and an answer belongs to its question. There is a natural fit there, a quiet completion, something that does not need to be explained because it is already felt so deeply in the body, in the chest, in the breath. You feel it, don't you? That pull, that unexplainable gravity that seems to work against all your logic. Even when you try to detach, even when you tell yourself it is over and you have moved on, even when your pride stands tall and says, walk away and do not look back, something deeper and quieter whispers that this is not finished. That whisper does not come from weakness. It does not come from desperation or from a lack of self-love. It comes from a part of you that knows more than your mind does. It comes from a place inside you that holds the memory of what this connection truly is. This connection was never going to be easy. It was never written to be comfortable or simple. When two souls are brought together with this kind of depth, the meeting is not just romantic. It is not just about attraction, chemistry, or shared interests. It is something much older and much bigger than that. You and he are mirrors to each other. And mirrors do not only show beauty, they show shadow. They show the parts of you that you learned to hide because someone once told you those parts were too much. They show the wounds you buried just to survive. They show the fears you made peace with by pretending they did not exist. When you stand in front of a mirror like this, it is uncomfortable. But it is also the most honest place you can be. When he entered your life, something ancient inside you woke up. Not just a feeling of romance, not just the excitement of something new, but a real awakening. Like a part of you that had been in a long sleep slowly opened its eyes. He activated parts of you that had been quiet for years. The soft girl in you who still believed in forever and was not ashamed of it. The wounded child who feared being left, who held her breath every time someone walked toward the door. The powerful woman who refuses to be loved halfway, who knows her worth even when she forgets to act like it. The silent rage that had nowhere to go. The quiet tenderness that wanted so much to be received. All of it rose at once, and it felt like chaos. But it was not chaos. It was revelation. This is why it feels so intense. This is why it feels overwhelming in a way that nothing else has. This is why you cannot treat him the way you would treat anyone else, because he is not anyone else. He is a catalyst. He is the person who walks up to the locked doors inside you and does not knock politely. He touches them and they open. Sometimes that is beautiful. Sometimes it is terrifying. But every single time, it is necessary. He belongs to you because he carries a piece of your unfinished story. There are chapters in your life that you thought were closed, old pain you believed you had healed, patterns you thought you had broken. And then he arrives, and suddenly those chapters are open again, not to punish you, but to give you a real chance to rewrite them. Not just to cope with them or manage them, but to truly move through them and come out the other side changed. That is the gift buried inside the difficulty. That is the purpose hidden beneath the confusion. But listen carefully to this, because it matters. Belonging does not mean possession. Destiny does not mean comfort. And love written before birth does not mean the road will be smooth or that you will never feel lost. The fact that something is meant for you does not mean it will arrive without effort. Some of the most important things in a person's life require the most courage, the most patience, and the most willingness to keep going, even when nothing seems to be moving. This man carries his own shadow. He carries fear that has learned to disguise itself as independence. He carries wounds that have learned to hide behind silence. He carries a deep longing to truly merge with someone, to be fully known and fully accepted, and at the same time, an equally deep fear of losing himself in that closeness. These two things live in the same chest, and they pull him in opposite directions. And when you come close to him, when you look at him the way you do, he feels seen in a way that heals him and terrifies him at the same time. Because you see through the performance. You see the boy behind the man. You see the strength and the insecurity sharing the same body. You see his potential, the version of him that he could be, and that vision pulls him forward while also exposing how far he still has to go. That kind of exposure is not comfortable for anyone. Most people spend their whole lives making sure no one sees that far inside them. And here you are, seeing it all without even trying. That is not something he can just take in his stride. That is something he has to sit with and wrestle with, and eventually find the courage to accept. When two souls are written into each other's destiny, they are also written into each other's transformation. And transformation is painful.
This is two people recognizing something in each other that goes beyond the surface, something older than this lifetime, and more real than any words either of you have found for it. He carries the kind of energy that seeks direction, structure, and stability. You carry the kind of energy that nurtures, senses, and connects. But both of you also carry the opposite inside. And when you are together, those inner energies begin to rearrange themselves. You find yourself standing more firmly in who you are. He finds himself opening to feelings he once kept at arm's length. You become less afraid of being alone with yourself. He becomes less afraid of being truly close to someone else. This is what is actually happening beneath all the complexity. This is the real transformation that the connection is designed to create. But do not confuse destiny with dependency. You are not meant to chase him. You are not meant to make yourself smaller so that he feels more comfortable. You are not meant to wait in silence without boundaries, hoping he will figure himself out while you put your own life on hold. You are meant to grow alongside him. And growing alongside someone sometimes means growing separately for a while. It means trusting that the connection is strong enough to survive the space that growth requires. If he runs, let him face what he is running from. If he doubts, let him sit inside that doubt until he understands it. If he is afraid, let him wrestle with that fear until he finds the courage to move through it. Your job in this is not to rescue him from his own inner work. Your job is to do your own. To become so rooted in your truth, so steady in who you are, that your very presence is an invitation for him to rise, not a pressure that pushes him further away. There is a difference between not giving up on someone and abandoning yourself for them. Not giving up means keeping your heart open, even when the process is uncomfortable. Abandoning yourself means staying in pain without any boundaries, waiting for someone to change while you are slowly disappearing. Destiny asks neither of those things from you. It asks for patience without self-destruction. It asks for openness without self-erasure. It asks you to believe in what is possible while still honoring what you need right now. Even in the times when you are apart, growth is still happening. He is thinking about you more than he shows. He is replaying the conversations you have had. He is sitting with the realization of how rare what he felt with you actually is. He is slowly confronting the parts of himself that kept getting in the way of closeness. And you are doing your own healing. You are learning to love yourself in a way that does not depend on his validation. You are reclaiming the parts of you that you gave away too easily in the past. You are becoming someone who can receive real love without flinching. This is sacred preparation. When two souls are written into each other's destiny before they are born, timing becomes one of the most important lessons they have to learn. The connection will not unfold according to your impatience. It will not speed up because you want it to. It will unfold according to readiness, according to how much inner work both of you have done, according to how honest you have each been willing to be with yourselves. When he returns to you, stronger and clearer and more grounded, it will be because he has done the hard work of facing himself. When he steps toward you with real commitment, it will be because he has finally stopped running from the parts of himself that used to make closeness feel dangerous. And when you stand beside him, it will be because you chose yourself first. Because you grew your own roots deep enough that you can be in this without losing yourself inside it. You must learn to trust the deeper current of this connection, not the temporary turbulence, not the arguments that happen at the surface, not the fear-based reactions that both of you sometimes fall into. The deeper current, that quiet place inside you that says, regardless of what is happening on the outside right now, this connection is bigger than this moment. That knowing does not lie. It has been with you since before you were born. There will be moments when you wonder if it would be simpler to choose someone easier.
Someone whose love comes without this much friction, without this much depth, without the demand to grow that this connection carries. And maybe it would be simpler. But simple is not always the same as meaningful. Comfort is not always the same as growth. The reason this connection feels so profound is because it is touching layers of you that no one else has ever reached. It is dissolving old beliefs you did not even know you were still carrying. It is breaking patterns that have been passed down through so many generations of your family that they felt like just part of who you are. It is rewriting everything you thought you knew about love. You are not just building a relationship. You are building emotional maturity. You are learning to integrate the parts of yourself you once rejected. You are becoming whole. And so is he. He may not say it in the way that you would, He may not have the words for what is happening inside him, but he feels the shift. He feels that you are unlike anyone else he has ever known. He feels, in his quietest and most honest moments, that losing you would mean losing a part of himself he cannot find anywhere else. That awareness scares him, but it is also what anchors him. Even when he is at his most distant, even when the silence between you stretches longer than feels bearable, that knowing is still there in him. Do not give up on him because of temporary fear. Do not walk away because the process is hard and slow and sometimes feels like it is going nowhere. Stay grounded in who you are. Stay self-aware. Stay open, but do not lose your strength. Stay soft, but do not disappear. This man was written into your destiny before birth, not to test your worth, but to reveal it to you. Not to make you smaller, but to show you how much space you are actually allowed to take up. Not to complete you, because you are already whole, but to mirror your completeness back to you in a way that nothing else could. When both of you step into that understanding, even slowly and imperfectly, the chaos begins to soften. The push and pull begins to slow. The fear that drove so much of the distance begins to dissolve into something quieter, something that looks a lot like respect and steadiness and peace. Union becomes possible, but only after both souls have done the work of becoming more conscious, more honest, more willing to be seen. You are not crazy for feeling this depth. You are not weak for wanting him. You are not foolish for believing that some connections are written before the people in them are born. You are simply responding to something real, something that predates logic and lives in a part of you that logic was never meant to reach. If you hold your center through all of it, if you keep doing your own growing even when it is hard, if you refuse to abandon yourself in the middle of this process, you will one day understand why it had to happen exactly this way. Why the timing was what it was. Why the difficulties were necessary. Why the distance, as painful as it was also a kind of grace. Because love written before birth is not a fairy tale. It is not all ease and warmth and soft mornings. It is transformation. It is the willingness to be undone and rebuilt. It is two people choosing again and again to face themselves honestly because the connection demands it. He belongs to you in the way the sun belongs to the sky. Not owned, not controlled, but naturally aligned. And you belong to him in the way the ocean belongs to the moon. Drawn, moved, influenced, and yet entirely powerful on your own. Do not give up. Not because this is easy, but because it is meaningful. Not because it is perfect, but because it is one of the most real and alive things you have ever felt. The story between you is still being written, and destiny has never rushed what it has always known is meant to last.